Howdy do, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the channel. I'm Anah Parreli. Today we're going to be talking about, or it ends up being a one-sided conversation until you guys put your comments up. But either way, the plan is to talk about Remliel, the Angel of Awakening. Now, as usual, if you're a newbie to the channel, I hope that you enjoy the content. If you do so, a like is always appreciated. If you would like to subscribe, that also is appreciated. It lets me know that you actually enjoy the content. It's of value for you. If you're a returning visitor, well, thank you very much for being part of my journey and continuing to visit. Just a reminder before I get into the content of Remliel today, though, especially for the newbies, is that we have an angel playlist. Now, ultimately, depending on where this video has been loaded, because I will be recording and scheduling videos in advance, and I can't remember the dates that I'm putting them up. But either way, we do have an angel playlist, and the current plans include that there will be about 50 specific angel videos. I don't think that includes the archangel ones, but either way, there's an angel playlist, and you can go through there and just, I might actually do in Sunday Yarning, offer a strategy for getting the right angel, allowing yourself to be drawn to an angel with a message for you that might be valuable and appropriate for you where you're at with your life right now, or at the time that you're looking for guidance. Now, on the playlist, I also include some videos about my personal introduction to angels and how I went from being a non-believer in angels to becoming a believer. But anyway, I guess it's important for each of us to identify what it means to us of being awake. I suspect that the modern concepts of being woke are probably grounded in this idea of waking up, having an awakening, but the way it's been interpreted and translated on social media is actually a distortion of an awakening. From an awakening perspective, it's about coming out of the sleep state, waking up, lifting the veil of consciousness, which we talked about in the Angel of Shekinah. I can't remember if that one's been loaded yet, but anyway, we refer to the veil at different times. And Remliel's role, of course, includes this lifting of the veil and literally waking up to the divinity that lies within us. So without further ado, let's talk about Remliel right now. So the first thing to know about Remliel is that he is an angelic awakener. His goal is to bring you back to your God consciousness, the awareness of the fact that you are part of something much bigger than yourself, that there is a creator, there is a purpose to life, and there is a divinity to all of life, whether we can actually see it or not right now. The process of reconnecting with the eternal self aspects and the divine reconnection are one where we do start to see this bigger picture, if you like, and our purpose. Anyway, the reconnection with the Creator includes the provision of whatever it is that we need as part of overcoming what is referred to as a cognitive dissonance of discerning light from illusion. Now, when we talk about cognitive dissonance, of course, we're doing that business of the head is telling you one thing and the heart is telling you something else, and there becomes a confused space within that. But anyway, his role also is not only to help us to discern light from illusion, but also what is material and physical and what is spiritual and energetic, because sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. The awakening is vital as part of creating the feelings and wisdom associated that leads to this passion that is necessary as part of revealing the divine plan. Now, of course, he's also, when we talk about the angelic hierarchy, he's one of the fourth order mother's angels. So, of course, I do have videos on the angelic hierarchy on the angel playlist, but just to reiterate here and perhaps go into a little bit more detail, when we talk about the fourth order mother's details, it's important to understand that they, as an angelic order, were created from a space of harmony, and so self-worth and acceptance and the manifestation of the divine feminine and maternal love are all associated with this particular hierarchy. So outward activities and actions that we take, they receive a new depth through this heightened compassion and passion, actually. There is the teaching, I guess, of the energy that emotions become a powerful force. We must convert emotions into the passion and the force for propelling our creations into existence. Now, of course, when we talk about propelling creations into existence, we're talking about using energy in positive ways for the greater good of humanity. They have a real comforting energy about them, and if we were to do a comparison to the Earth state, it would be the really positive attributes of an Earth Mother, very soothing, a desire to soothe away tears, to tend to wounds and hurt feelings, and as we open up our hearts more fully to love and life, then we're able to experience these nurturing qualities, shall we say. And I suppose this is why we refer to the mother's angels as mother's angels, is because they're nurturing. They guide us from this space of passion, and they inspire us to find our right place at the right time while holding us in the security of divine love. So when you hear comments like, some people will say, embraced by in the wings of an angel and feeling consumed by love. Well, that kind of energy is associated to the mother's angels. So Remliel's message is basically that when we do or have our awakening, the feelings of love, sensuality, gratitude, and joy, they're revived in such ways and with such intensity that you would not have conceived or believed that it was even possible before you actually experience. This awakening is the increased awareness, the expanded awareness and understanding, and it's combined with enlightenment. It's like the turning on of a light in a darkened room, and where all of a sudden everything becomes clear, nothing is hidden, and everything is revealed. And we understand and know at a core level that there is nothing to fear. There actually is nothing to sorrow or grieve about. There is just this sense of love and peace. And we, as mere mortals, are no longer willing to deny what is happening around us or ignore it, because this denial and ignoring things is a form of sleepiness. When we ignore and deny, we're actually ignoring the truth of our own existence. So this is what informs or shapes the awakening process. So Remliel explains that honesty is paramount on the divine path. And, we know today within modern society that it becomes very impolite to challenge people and the myths that they hold about their life and life in general. Now, this is despite the fact that honest and direct communication actually is what leads to healing. When we pretend not to notice or walk away from situations, this leads to failures and lost opportunities for people to heal their emotional baggage, if you like, and they remain stuck in this illusion and delusion of their mind. And when this happens, everybody loses, okay? We lose the opportunity to reunite and reconnect with love, understanding, and compassion. I just want to think about that for a moment and try and relate it to modern life. I guess probably the best way to explain it, because I've worked in the mental health field, is mental illness is quite often associated with a false belief or a delusion. In the worst case scenarios, it can be paranoia and this kind of thing, where people believe stuff that actually has no foundations in real life existence. Now, depending on where a person is in their journey, if we were to challenge their myths and constructs of their mind, that actually might trigger some really unhealthy behaviours, and in fact, final endings. I hope you can read between the lines. However, if we can work with them and gently encourage them in honest communication to actually process and unpack the myths and illusions from their mind, they're able to regain their health. But if we are seen to support, oh goodness me, these delusions, then they'll never heal. They'll never heal. And consequently, the rest of us might be walking around on eggshells to accommodate these needs. But look, because I've worked in the mental health field, I'm aware that you don't just go out and confront somebody that's significantly unwell, but I think there's a fine balance between supporting a person who has mental illness and enabling them to keep believing their delusions. And then there's the process that empowers them to walk past their delusions, if that makes sense. That might be a conversation for a Sunday yarning. So Remliel explains that the awakening starts with noticing the things that you would normally ignore, and this is about expanding your awareness of yourself and your surroundings. Now, initially, it's difficult to interrupt this process of denial that happens really, really quickly when we see something or become aware of something that we're not comfortable with. It kind of comes through as an imperceptible flash, this is what we might call that light bulb moment. It's a sensation or emotion that we would normally override with a thought that's more appealing to us. And if it's, let's say that if we had an automatic thought of, I don't like that person so-and-so, we would repress that idea by coming back with a thought that, well, that's not kind. I'm going to change that thought and say this person's a nice person. But actually, you might have been right to a certain level there if you explored the way you felt and your actual response, that uncomfortableness. Why do you carry that thought? Why did you have that thought about that person? Is it because there is something about that person that it makes them untrustworthy? Is that response that you had an early warning system, or is it steeped in your limitations and judgment based on past experience? We have to unpack it, is where I'm going. So there becomes an awareness of what we think, and going through this process of unpacking. Okay, denial, when we do that automatic denial, when we override the initial thought and judge ourselves as being foolish, it reflects actually a lack of belief in yourself, or if it were me, myself, and our own self-worthiness. We block the receptivity. When we deny, when we go into this knee-jerk denial, we're blocking receptivity of divine guidance with feelings of shame or guilt, instead of allowing this divine inspiration to flow. So when when feelings of doubt and distrust surface, we need to be willing to explore them, to acknowledge them, to reflect on them, because they are true insights, or they can be, or they might be, as I said, preconceptions based on the past experiences that require healing. Now, this can be difficult at first. It can also be confusing, is what he says, and I would second this, because the mind would have us believe that an awakening comes from what you know or what you think you know. But the spiritual journey is not a journey of the mind, is what Remliel says. It is a journey of feelings and actions. And sometimes, I'm going to give a little experience here. Sometimes when we follow our divine inspiration, we find ourselves going to places that we would never have intended to go. And if we allow our mind to dictate the journey, then we end up in situations we're not necessarily comfortable with. Now, a prime example of this is, I am actually trying to build a spiritual community around me in my physical existence, which means actually exploring new options and following my guidance. So, of course, I'd put it out to my guides that I be directed to a community. Now, I found myself attending a facility which I was trying to remain open-minded about. It wasn't one that I thought that I would normally go to, but I went to it, long story short. And in the process, I met a lady who actually is in terminal stages of cancer. Now, without realising, it was after the fact, because when we're following our guidance, we don't think about what we're doing. We're just actually having this honest, open, transparent conversation. And we had a very powerful conversation, the two of us together. But my intention was to continue to go back to the group because I believed I was being guided to go to the group. But I had a sense of unease about the leader of the organisation, shall we say. And it wasn't because I believed the person was a bad person. I just believed that the person was coming from a space of fear. There was fear-based control there. But me being who I am, I went back 3 times, and just I've reached a conclusion now that I won't be going back again, because I've been able to establish I was drawn to that environment to connect with this lady that was terminally ill, to have this very powerful conversation. Life is reciprocal. She gave me a couple of gems. I'm talking about wisdom here, and I was able to give her, I suppose, a couple of gems too that she can carry with her at this time of transition. And so I feel that I've now met the divine purpose of attending that facility. So there becomes this awareness is where I'm going. And sometimes it really is just following that driving force that's within and not thinking about it too much, just allowing it to evolve. So, Remliel explains the process of an awakening, and he refers to it as a spiritual quickening that occurs. Now, your guardian angel will call upon Remliel to watch over you during this period of purification and self-revelation. It can be arduous, just to let you know in advance, but there's nothing to fear, I've got to say. But anyway, we think that it can be a bit fearful, but I'll carry on with the message. Okay, Remliel provides the best conditions for your growth, and he helps you to face your personal demons. This is the fears and the illusions that we've denied and which become repressed, and they block us from being able to directly experience the love of Creator. Now, he guides you to accept that these monsters and fears that you hold are actually part of yourself, and that we can transform them through self-love. Now, outward struggles and crises reveal the judgmental patterns very clearly that we hold, and these will often manifest through unwelcome behaviours of others. And so there is a need for a willingness to look at ourselves, to go within, to help us to find resolution within these situations. So we're encouraged to follow through with actions based on our new awareness and our perspectives, but also to make sure that the actions that we take are those of compassion. And now, I will say from my perspective, when we go through this process, there is this sensation that we're actually going into a tunnel, and it can be a bit scary. And we do, well, for me, I'm interested in knowing your experience. What I felt was that I was actually going through a dark tunnel, and that it was non-optional, and that I needed to go through this tunnel to get to the other side. Now, at the time I did this, I was not aware at all of what I was actually doing and where it would lead me. But what I can say, it was a journey that was completely and utterly emotionally rewarding. It was extremely healing. And of course, it's part of this process of eternal life that we actually do this journey. Okay. But suffice to say, don't let your fear dictate, would be my advice. Don't let your fears dictate the path of your life. But of course, Remliel would explain it as digging deep and have courage. He says that deep within each of us is a dark and fearful place that must be passed through as we journey on our way home to the Creator, to unity, to connection. And this place of darkness is where all of our rage at being detached from the way you really feel has gone. It includes the emotions of resentment, and it's where the desperation and terror of living in this earthly hell of our own existence, silently hides, lurking for transformation. And when we face and confront this ugliness, it's through a strong and personal connection with the Creator that gives us the courage to face the depths. Now, I would definitely agree to that. When you are ready, and only when you are ready, Remliel will lead you to this place of facing your darkness and your fears. And as you enter into this space, you may actually need to have the support of people around you who love you. I would just let you know this, just as a tip from me, as professional responsibility, or the support of another person who's been there before you, because this can be what is called the dark night of the soul. And nothing like a little bit of light to break through the darkness. If you're hearing crashing and banging, I don't know if you can. I'm not going to listen to these videos. But yes, that is the little puppy dog who apparently can find anything and everything that is not nailed down to play with, and particularly when I'm doing recordings. So anyway, back to the dark night of the soul whilst he nibbles on my arm for attention. This dark night of the soul is a time of really deep surrender and gratitude. And where you're encouraged to want to desire to connect with the Creator and only the Creator, okay? Because in this space of the Creator, there's this essence of peace where only love abides. Now, love of the Creator is what carries us through this darkness and transforms despair into this really powerful realization of self-love. And it can take a great deal of courage to truly feel the magnitude of the pain. And it depends on how old you are, I might add, and how much pain you've actually been through, because it can be a big burden to release. But either way, the only way to be free of it is to actually feel it and let it go. Once you've reached the other side, of course, the intensity of this experience of going through this dark night of the soul will lead to blessings that go far beyond your expectations, your imagination, and you could even say your wildest dreams, because it definitely does leave you, at the very least, in absolute awe and amazement, if not rapture. You will have found heaven that lies within and on earth, actually. And it is what I would say the blessing of this is, that whatever we experience from here on in, we can actually manage it, shall we say. Whatever dramas life throws at us, we always have this internal peace going forward, that we are actually connected to the divine. So Remliel also explains this process as when you emerge from this dark night of the soul and back into the light of God, the Creator, he will direct the stretching and expansion of your mental body and adjust the frequencies. So we're talking about the aura here, to ensure that they're all turned to the Creator or God and aligned with God's will. You know, this business of I'm aligned with God's will, or not my will, God's will. Illusions are removed and a new awareness enters. Now, when you're awakened, you see and feel everything, good and bad, pleasant and unpleasant. And this divine vision has this crystal clear and intense awareness that penetrates all the details of creation. This is the inner knowing, and it's untainted by human limitation. Your free will is one where you must be willing to let go of everything that keeps you from attaining this awareness. So that's just a bit of advice. And also to be patient and kind with yourself through this process. And now you can call upon the Creator and Remliel for assistance. And in fact, you're very much guided to and directed by Remliel to do the invocations as part of calling. Now, as usual, I put up an example or a sample that you could draw upon to build your own. Just the reminder that you call upon Creator first, then any angel that you're working with. And I would encourage always closing under grace and the divine way, as part of ensuring the protection of the invocation, if that makes sense. And I'm going to put up at some point in time a guided visualization or meditation for you to actually face your fears. And I will call it, I'm just thinking to myself, I will call it Face Your Fears, because this was, as I said, look, I stumbled along my journey. I had no idea where I was going. I was just following gut instinct. And I stumbled upon a meditation which was about facing your fears, and I did it. And it was a very powerful meditation in hindsight. And I think it would be helpful to share with people as part of helping them to reach their own awakening. So keep an eye out for that one. I'm not going to give you a time frame. I'll mention it in the Sunday Yarning when I've actually recorded it. I don't know when it will be, but it definitely will be Facing Your Fears. And another angel that you can actually call upon through this process to get you to the stage of awakening, if you're not there yet, is actually the angel Serviel, who is about courage and the release of fears. So just a tidbit there for you. Now, as always, whenever you do an invocation or call upon the Creator or angels, you finish with this really heartfelt appreciation and gratitude. And quite often, so I just want to remind people here that you can have your own little personal mantras as you go about the day, as part of increasing the energy of gratitude that sits within your aura, which is, I give thanks for blessings seen and unseen, is a good one. And then the other one is, not my will, God's will, Creator's will, or I am in alignment with the Creator's will. Just you can adapt those to suit your own comfort levels anyway, but sticking to the essence of what I'm trying to convey with this particular slide is the reminder that gratitude, whenever we call upon the angels and the creator and that kind of stuff, the business of gratitude, what I find is that it enhances the response, it quickens the response time, and it seems to happen instantaneously. And the more grateful we are, the more blessings we seem to attract to ourselves. So, my friends, that is it for today's video. I've given you basically all the information I can share with you today about Remliel's role within the hierarchy. I look forward to hearing your own experiences. It doesn't matter if you don't believe this stuff. I would say be willing to give it a go. If you are awake enough to know that you don't know everything, that there might be stuff outside of your conscious awareness that you can learn, you've got an open mind. Put it to the test yourself and see what happens. But for now, I'm going to say thank you for being part of my journey. I do wish you a wonderful, glorious, blessed day, blessed week. Take care of yourselves. Catch us on the next video. Bye bye for now.